This is so different. I'm gonna give you guys a second to get in here, but I just have to drop in and talk because 2026 is mess around and find out season. Like, this is the season where God is going to be moving strongly. And I am just, when I tell you, I am over here repenting, praying, just making sure I'm getting myself in order because I do not want God's wrath to fall on me because He is going to deal with people this year. Like, you're going to see so much happening. And I'm saying this because one of the things that He told me is He doesn't want people to be confused on why. Because a lot of times people think, oh, it's the devil or it's the enemy or whatever. But they don't understand, like, God don't play. And this is a season where the fear of God, if you don't have it, you're going to find out the hard way. Because people have done a great job of fearing the enemy, right? A lot of people are scared of the enemy. And it's like, you guys don't even understand what is really worth fearing. You know, in the Bible it says, don't fear the ones that can kill, fear the one who can kill and take souls. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, there's not a lot that I'm scared of. But when I tell you, God, you can't get me to play with them. Okay? You cannot get me to play in his face, play about him, play like, no, 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 no. And that's why I think I've become even more as I kept walking and I keep walking this call out is because I've seen, and I mean, I've seen it quickly. I don't believe, I don't believe God or in God because someone told me to, or just because of the Bible itself, even though I know the Bible is true. But I mean, I've seen things, okay? Like, I've seen things. And bear the noise, guys. I'm at home today. But nevertheless, I guess I want to say this is a season not to put your mouth, don't put your mouth on God's people, okay? You guys see the title? I am so serious about it because many people don't understand that your agreement, and I'm so happy. A lady that I listened to, she touched on this topic so heavily, and it's so true. Many people don't understand coming into agreement with evil can get you in trouble. Okay? No, I'm not a doctor or nurse. But that being said, you have to understand the power of agreement, not just in the good times, but even in the wrong side of stuff. Like, you giving your agreement to anything in this year will either be beneficial to you or will be a part of your demise. Because many people don't understand, like, the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree, right? So what that means is, if you even are silent, even if you are with someone and you may not agree with everything that they're saying or whatever, but you are there, you are co-signing their evil if they're evil, right? That's why we don't play about people getting out. I mean, last year know if that's gonna, am I back? Okay, here I am. Anyways, some people, once they, especially when you work towards being righteous, not perfect, but when you work towards being righteous, I think what's hard for people is if you actually are about what you say you're about, they realize that they fall out of your good grace, right? If they fall out of just connection with you, now they have to try to justify themselves, or they feel like they have to justify themselves to feel good about losing that connection. So what they do is they turn to lies, they turn to agreement with people who are already against you. They turn to whatever they can, they're going to try to reach for to try to, I would say it's like they're trying to, that's the word, they're trying to prove to themselves that you're the bad guy in the picture, right? They're trying to prove to themselves that you're the problem, because if the relationship no longer exists, they normally need someone to blame, right? So if you are the one who it's against, then they have to find your enemies. They have to find people who have gone up against you, even if they were in agreement with you at one stage. Then what they do is they try to say, oh, wait, but I learned more. And now I see what that other person was saying. But it's really just God's way of grouping them together so that they all can fall for your sake. And as I see this play out, right, it's actually funny to me because I'm like, this is so interesting. I mean, we've had people who we thought, we were going places. We thought we were going to go places together. But one of the things, too, I've learned is when you have sin in your life that you are not working to get out of your life, lies become a part of your, like your mind starts to lose reality. Like, again, anything that you're protecting, let's say you have a hidden sin that you just have an addiction or something that you have and you don't want to let that go. What happens is that pulls you into idolatry because you have to defend any, by nature we defend what we agree with, right? So even if we're not like sometimes I hear people talking about Islam and they're like, oh no, it's not, it's we worship God. I'm like, what that tells me is 9 out of 10 you don't have any family. You don't have people you actually love in your life. Anyone who aligns with Islam, to me personally, I see it as you're either on the side of homosexuality, you're either you have some type of agreement in your own life that makes you agree with evil. And that's what this is, the season for you guys to really understand. Do not take anything for what it is. And this is why I'm saying it too, is because many of you come into lies, come into agreement with the next hot topic. You give your agreement, whether it's listening to people who are lying on other people, just like the news, is going to be what leads you straight to hell. Okay, the tea is going to be the thing that takes you where you don't want to be. And I'm telling you guys, because this is a warning, as I look at how these last couple of years have played out, it's so crazy how many people I've seen fall because of a lie. And it's like, you would say, well, I didn't tell the lie, so why would I fall? But it's like, even if you see a lie You know it's a lie. You don't necessarily agree with it, but you don't speak up against it. You become a part of that agreement. So now you are buying to the same fall that those people who told the lie will experience. And that's the danger of agreeing with liars. Because I'm telling you, this year has been, I've just been eating my popcorn. I've just been eating my popcorn, okay? Because I know this year is, and it's just getting started. I know this is going to be a fire year for us as a nation, as we continue to grow, as people continue to learn. Um, but at the same time, I know it's going to be a lot of people falling. Like there's going to be in every area, you're going to see people just falling. People who look like they could not be touched fall, 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 fall. And I'm telling you, it's because God has made a judgment. God is on the move. Okay, God is on the move right now. And this is why you want to repent. You want to come out of agreement with anything. Again, whatever you got to do, seek the Spirit to reveal that to you. But this is a season where you need to make sure you apologize, you forgive, you don't hold resentment, you don't hold bitterness, you don't hold unforgiveness. I mean, because those are the things that blind you eventually. If you don't deal with those stuff, you're going to be in danger. So you want to, even if you're upset with God, it's like I get it, but he's still God. He's still God. So it's like you could feel upset, you could feel whatever, but you need to start working on that relationship, because going into witchcraft because you're upset with God isn't worth it. Playing with crystals and tarot cards and worshiping other planets and everything else, it's not worth going to hell for, guys. Okay? We went through those things as a people in our past, our ancestors. Yes, because I think that's one of the things that many people feel justified about, because it's like, well, my ancestors, yada, 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 right? You do understand, if it was that powerful, if it was that special, it would have protected everything that happened, right? So it's like you have to come to an understanding that they went into idol worship, and it is our season to repent for those sins so that we can get back into good graces with God. See, what I'm getting at is so many people have allowed the bitterness of our past to blind them from what needs to happen next. And this is why many people are going to stay trapped. Many people are not going to reap the benefit of the next level. You're not going to reap it because you are so. We had someone, I remember I was on a call, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I was on a call, and I got to go, but I was on a call with someone, and they were so upset about the fact that we don't that we allow people who are married to have their spouses in our nation. It's like, I mean, of course, but then again, who's upset about that? Person who's single, person who has no life, person who has nothing to protect. The people who our nation do not benefit are literally people who are doing nothing with their lives. So I think that's the best thing to put on here, guys, is we are builders. And if you are not a builder, our nation would not benefit you at all. I'm gonna just be honest. Don't waste your money. Don't sign up. Don't try to do anything. Because if you are set towards what you can get, the other system has multiple avenues for you to seek that. Now, if you're a builder, if you're someone who is seeking for a future where your future generations, and we're not talking about pretend futures, because many of y'all just get caught up in just the idea of nation building and you guys really don't build anything. This isn't for you. Okay. I'm talking to the people who actually are here to build for real. Okay. People who are actively working on themselves, working on their families. Those are the people we can protect. Those of you who are just looking for the next hot indigenous topic, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't it. So best of luck to you. We wish you the best. And may you find your tribe. May you find your people. I'm sure there's many out there like you who would love for you to join them. But we're not here for everybody. That being said, don't come up against us though. Okay? I understand. Sometimes people get hurt that we don't accept everybody. We don't have to. It's our right as a nation to determine what is in alignment with us and what is not. And if you are here and you don't feel aligned with us, we don't want to hold you either. Just let us know. We'll get your process complete and you'll never have to worry about us again. But if you turn against us and you start to try to attack us, just know our God will deal with you eventually. Okay. But he has been spinning the block heavily right now. Like he has been doing things. I mean, I am just like, God, you are so amazing. Okay. You are amazing. See, some people think like this is a Christian thing, but baby, my relationship with God is real. Okay, my relationship with my creator, I don't know who else some of y'all got out there, but my God, he the real deal. Okay, I don't say it to sound cute. I don't say it to sound like, no, I am fully persuaded that my God is real. Okay, my God fights for me. I am 100%. So if that is not your thing, then our nation would not benefit you because everything that I do comes from my creator. So so why would you want to be connected to us if you don't like our God? Like that's another thing that I think is very weird with some people is like they want what you have, but they don't want to acknowledge your God. And it's like I'm sorry. It's like, how do you, so you expect me to go ahead and just pretend, let's just say, pretend that they're like, I did all of this by myself and I didn't have some supernatural support to get us this far as a nation. You want me to disown and discredit my God because you're offended that I really do believe that I got a God. I don't just believe, I know. Okay. But, anyways, nevertheless. I'm so grateful because the reality is all the people who have been aligning currently, and I think that's the beauty about as the vision gets clearer, you start to see, oh my God, my baby's out there. But as the vision gets clearer, things start to fall off, right? People start to drop off. And at first you think it's a little disappointing at first, I'm gonna be honest. But as you go, you start to learn, wait, this is necessary. I love one of my favorite things is when people go to our enemies. I'm sorry. I love it when people go to the people they think or know that are against us and they go to them for help or to just be with them. And it's this, I mean, it's like you can't make this up. You cannot make this up, right? You, what happens in that moment is like you're, I'm sorry. Because I remember we had someone who was working for us and he was like, yeah, you probably did take the money from those people and blah, 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 blah. was like, now you got everybody marking you. You probably could have just go on and do whatever you needed to do, but now here you are making a necessary enemy out of jealousy. Like that is so sad. I see that's my thing. I don't think people understand how lame you are when you show people how jealous you are. Envy and covetousness and jealousy are literally like the ugliest thing some people can have on them. And it's like, you think no one can see it, right? You think people can't see the bitterness and the jealousy and the envy, but it's like so obvious if you didn't know. And this is why I'm like, whatever you are wishing on people, be careful in this season. Whatever you think you want to see happen to someone, whether you think they deserve it or don't deserve it, you better be careful who you put your mouth on this season. Okay? Because God got his people that he is not playing about this year. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, I'm not saying you're gonna die because I said, but some of y'all are gonna drop dead this year. Some of y'all are going to leave this realm. So you gotta be careful. I'm really telling you this because I am telling you what is about to happen in this year. Many people don't have spiritual eyes, so they won't see it. But I'm telling you, mark this. People are going to drop, whether they're going to lose their minds, they're going to just go on and get up out of this realm, but it's going to happen. And that's why I'm saying, like, repent. If you, especially if you're in our nation, I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to push religion on you, but I'm telling you, get your house in order. Get your house in order because we are about to go up against big things and we have to be on one accord with righteousness. We have to be on one accord with what's next for our people. And that starts with us individually. It starts with us um, facing the reality of what we have, um, even our anger. You know, I can admit I was angry for a good amount of years about the history and things that had happened within the lands. But the reality is, I had to give that to God. I had to accept that vengeance is his. I had to accept also accountability for my people because the reality is I used to think we were all innocent. I used to feel like, well, this happened to us. And but then God was like, basically a, a curse causeless cannot come. What does that mean? There's nothing that can happen to you that you don't deserve, whether you believe it or not. So, whenever there's something going on that you may feel isn't pleasing, you need to ask yourself, where am I in error? Where am I in you know, not in alignment? It could be generationally done. It could have been your parents, your grandparents. It could be anything. But you should always go and seek for clarity. Why is this happening? Concentrate. I am concentrating on my job. Who are you, Mr. Timothy G. Knight? You too old to be in here commenting. So why you ain't concentrating on your job? The audacity. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyways, getting back to it. For my people, when it comes to where we're headed next, like I was saying, we have to understand this is a season where things are going to move quickly. You're not going to wait 5, 10, 20 years to see what you did. So you want to make sure that you are examining your life, examining your mindset, examining everything around you, whether you like it, don't like it. Um, you want to make sure that you are seeking clarity because there's going to be a lot of seducing spirits. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to fall away. because they don't love truth. Most people get offended. You know what I've learned is, and I heard Tiffany say this, Tiffany Montgomery, she said this, but it's true. You have to love truth more than your feelings. You have to love, even if it doesn't benefit you, you have to decide that you're gonna still um accept truth because it's the truth, right? And most people don't like that because the reality is you want to feel good. But the reality is, if you are seeking feel good before the reality, you are not putting yourself to have a retrobated mind. You're putting yourself to have a mind that you will be given over to torment, right? So you don't want to align yourself with a lie, even if it's about yourself. Sometimes we think, oh, I have time. I have time to go through it and I'll get to it. But no, this is a season where you want to deal with those things quickly because many people are going to reap what they've sowed this year. Everything you've been sowing up until this point, it's coming. So I hope you've been sowing great seeds. I hope you've been kind, loving. You may have a good harvest. But if you've been evil, wicked, bitter, guess what's coming? It's not going to look pretty. So get yourself in order. I ain't respecting anybody who call themselves Allah Akbar. Allah Akbar, okay. Yes, I'm sure some I love God. I, I love men who think they're straight. Only men who are not straight. God is great. What up? Oh, you guys are so that's another thing too that I realized is that gay really don't like me. Pretend under like I get in so much trouble with undercover men. And it's the most funniest thing because I never understood it, right? But now as I continue to grow, I realize like I have certain groups of people that I get along very well with, and then there's another group that I don't get along very well with. It is women who hate men and men who hate women. Like those are the people who we just don't make it. So I love how people are in here. That's so cute. Oh, I bet you don't have not one woman talking about you love women. You can't keep no woman. Okay, okay. Well, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it, okay? But from my understanding, what I've seen, guys, and this is what I'm saying, you're gonna see God is gonna bring people up against you. That's another thing. Don't be surprised when people come up against you. I used to be like, why is it that I always kind of get in situations with certain groups of people? But what I've learned is that God does that specifically with me, and I'm sure He may do it with some of you, is because they have to fall. After people come up against certain people, it's like the ultimate final say so that God has to deal with them. Because once you touch someone who is anointed, if they're by God, you have to fall for their sake. You have to go through the next step, which is judgment. So don't worry if people are coming up against you. Don't worry if people are lying on you. Don't worry if people are just being mean to you, because the reality is that is what is necessary for them. See, they've been doing what they've been doing for a long time. Most of the times that's what you're gonna is evil typically has multiple victims. It hits a certain period of time where they touch one of God's apple of his eyes, right? And that's when God finally steps in and deals with that person. So you want to make sure that you are not avenging yourself. You don't have to go back and forth. You don't have to prove a point. You don't have to attack people. You know what God showed me about that? I'm going to tell you guys. So I remember one time someone told me, how did he say it? He said, you were like a child, right? And I realized that that's normally the people who come up against me is they always think that they know better. They always think that they know more. And God showed me that's because that's kind of what happens is the admiration turns into resentment, and the resentment is because deep down inside they think they can do my job better than me, right? And I'm not here to argue that. Maybe you do know something. Maybe you know more than me. Maybe you know more history, more whatever. But my Bible says you have to come like a child to be able to basically enter heaven, right? So I always told God, like, I always wanted to remain childlike when it comes to whatever I do. And let me go ahead and get him out of here. Okay. Anyways, that being said, we have to understand that it's not going to who knows the most in this season. It's going to be about who is closer to God. Those are going to be the people he's going to elevate. This is why I'm telling you, if you are in our nation, if you've been waiting for breakthrough, if you've been waiting for the next step, if you've been waiting for whatever, I challenge you to seek first the kingdom, because it says, seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. Then all things basically will be added to you, right? The issue is so many people seek everything first, and that's how you miss it. So you want to seek the kingdom, because once you seek the kingdom and righteousness, you do look like you don't deserve the position. But that's the point, because God chooses the foolish things to confide the wise. So you have to understand it's not about looking the part, it's not about you being the part, it's not about you working harder, it's about who is seeking God. That's who he's going to promote. So if you want to go to the next level this year, please, I'm giving you the secret, which is not a secret, but seek God. Okay? Seek God. Forgive. Forgive whoever wrong. Like, that's the thing about me. I already forgave that little person who was in here talking, because I know that's the goal. The enemy goal is always to try to get you in an offense. God can resist you. But you have to be wise enough to understand, like, oh no, do you think someone in my comments is worthy of blocking my blessings? I forgive Mr. Allah. But he's still gonna get up out of here. But I forgave. Forgive it. Well, who else was in here saying anything? Some other one. Yes. Forehead. Yes. Okay, good. Because that is the trick. The enemy cannot come in unless you let him in. He's out there. But so many times you guys are letting him in, and then that's how you experience the fall. Because the same thing about forgiveness is when we've always heard people say, it's not for the other person. Yes, but I want you to go deeper with that. Okay, I want you to go deeper, because the reality is it's not about the other person, no. But guess what? If you don't forgive them, you now literally will receive the same punishment that was assigned for that person, the same torment that was assigned for that person. Is it worth it? Right? It's not. It's not, guys. So this is why you have to see things in a spiritual realm beyond just talking, beyond just interesting. You have to see it because it's a spiritual law at play. See, people think laws are powerful or important, but there's so many spiritual laws that many times people are breaking and they don't even understand it. They don't understand why they're going through certain things, why certain traumas continue to persist in their bloodline. They don't understand that you've broken or your family has broken spiritual laws and now you're paying for it. So this is why you don't want to be blind by the reality of what happens behind the scenes, which is the spiritual realm is way more real. Physical. It is so much more real. It is beyond real. And this is why you have to really be locked in because you're going to fall into the enemy's schemes every time. You know, I look back and I remember back in 2021, I how I guess in 2021 I realized that I had a lot of other personal things going on. And the thing about when you have a lot of personal things going on that do not serve God, that is not where he can dwell, your enemy will always beat you. Okay? Because evil, they're skilled. Evil know how to be evil, okay? So if you are a person of light who has gone a little bit to the left, you're you're gonna be every single time. I'm telling you this because you cannot fight evil with evil. I remember I wanted to, like, at one point, I started to want to kind of be like that person to get back at them. But then I was like, gosh, he's like, you can't win with that tool. That's not you. You see what I'm saying? So many times you guys are trying to be something you're not. You are here to be light in the land, and you're trying to show people you can just be as evil or as mean or as bad as them. And it's like, no, that's not how you win. Okay, I'm trying to give y'all something. You have to choose tools. And if you're a child of light, you need to connect to your source. That's the only how you're ever going to be evil. And it may not make sense in the beginning. It may not make sense to turn the other cheek. It may not make sense to, but it's not about making sense to you. It's the spiritual laws at play. That's the point. The spiritual laws has certain ways of dealing with people. So if you are operating in the spiritual realm, um, forgiving those who hurt you, um, you know that there's a spiritual law that says if you repay someone's good for evil, evil will never leave your house. That's a law. That's a law. See? But many people don't understand that. And this is why they can't understand why they live tormented with depression and anxiety because at one stage and one point in time, they may have came across someone who did good to them and they return evil. Maybe they lied on them. Maybe they did something um, that they shouldn't have did to that person. And now the law is being enforced. So they live in torment. They live in depression, anxiety. All of these things are a part of their daily life, but that's because they don't understand the law that they violated. See, this is why it's important. Go ahead. No, this is why it's important. And this is why the enemy doesn't want you understanding biblical principles because biblical principles are literally where all the laws are. It's the ultimate law book. But he wants you to believe it's a white man's book, right? Mm. But if I wrote a book, right? if I wrote a book, is that is that more important? Like so many times people are missing the point on so many things that they let their bias, their anger, their when you let stupidity dictate your life, you will have stupid outcomes in your life. So choose to be wise. But I'm telling you, there's a reason the enemy don't want you reading that book. There's a reason because see, people think I be like I listen, I am the chief of the Xi-Amaru Republic, and I am here to tell you I do not be reading a million law books out there. I don't be reading all you can figure out about indigenous people, and I don't I don't I don't I don't I've had people tell me I've read a drip from the beginning to the end and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh, that's great. And again, I do recommend you do that, but that's not what I be reading. I don't read those things. Everything I do, the thing that I read the most is the law book from God. Because that is what everything else is made around. So when you understand the principles of his book, then you understand how everything else is connected. But if you're trying to avoid that and pick up the other thing, you're always going to be missing certain things. So you want to be wise about why is there such a um for a long time I was big on like I just never understood it. I just thought it was about, different stories about people and just a cute little history book. I didn't think much of it at first. You know, it never made sense to I thought it was very confusing. But the more I got closer to God, it's like the more the pages came to life. And when I say came to life, it's like I see myself in so many things. And I'm like, how is this about me? And I think that's the whole point is once you understand it's a living book, you will start to realize how your life has been playing out. And these stories are literally here to show you where people failed. One of the things that God showed me specifically about Moses is how anger let Moses not enter the promised land. Go ahead out. I'm doing something. And that's one of the things that I was like, oh, that's what the enemy wants. He wants me to be angry at these people so God could be like, not you, because you're doing a bad job representing me. You ain't being joyful. You ain't being happy. I'm like, oh, okay, listen. Ain't nobody worth me not being in the promised land. I seen people, I remember some people emailed me once, oh, I want to be removed from the Xi-Amaru Republic because you guys don't represent my, what did they say? It was a witch. So I'm like, girl, bye. Goodbye. Okay, peace be with you. She must have thought I was gonna say, "Oh, you don't leave. Stay with us. We're gonna do better, baby." Because what people don't understand is people didn't make me. I'm not the chief because people made me. I'm the chief because God put me here. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Like tell people, oh, they're so bad. They talk about God. They're trying to push God on people. Okay. What I'm telling you guys is this is the season to be careful. Be so careful. Be so careful. See, you know what I've learned is that many people like indigenous when it has nothing to do with God. They like the pretend indigenous. They like the other so-called groups like, oh, we could respect them doing their dances and worshiping and and all of that. But when you guys say, how dare you say how dare you say you got a God? How dare you say you I do. I do. We do have a God. Every group is entitled to their belief. Why is it so offensive to people when we say we got a God? Well, I remember someone say you can't be indigenous and you're saying you believe in the God of the Bible. How are you gonna say what I can't believe? That's a part of my ancestral background. As many of us, even those who are in rebellion, that's a part of our background. So I'm not pretending to say that. We're not making that up. That's the reality. That's the reality of why we have our nation. Is because there's people who saw the violations that our people did previously. And you know what's so crazy to me is the ancestors that I see people wanting to honor now are literally the ones who got us in trouble. I'd be like, the ones that got us in trouble, those are the ancestors they want to worship. But your grandparents, your grandma, all of those people you want to disrespect. You see what I'm talking about? Those are the ones who literally came back to God and got you covered. And now you're like, oh, I don't like her because she talking about Jesus. Baby, Jesus is what got you still here. So you better tell grandma thank you. But you want to go pick up crystals and cards. Okay. Okay. Again, you're free to do what you want to do. But guess what? I'm remembering when I saw someone uh they were on, I think it was TikTok. I don't remember. But mostly TikTok because that's where all the witches be. Because one, they got viral. They want to go viral. So that's where all the witches be. That's why we like we gonna go maybe post on TikTok and we out of there because ain't no way. Nevertheless, I saw someone was like, we I don't remember exactly how it went, but they were saying something about like basically talking to spirits and stuff. And I was like, baby, that's a demon. That ain't your ancestor. Your ancestors are gone, okay? You can't talk to the dead. That's another thing too that you guys want the why would you want to talk to dead people? You do understand that they're dead, right? That's a demon, okay? This is not supposed to get all religious, but stop it. Somebody visited you in your dream, baby, it's a demon. Your ancestor is they're not visiting you in your dream. You got to understand this spiritual realm real. And what's going to come through that broken heart that you have is you're going to call a demon to come talk to you and then you're going to be tormented. And this is why you see, if you pay attention, pay attention. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong. Go look at the people who publicly claim to be witches and tell me if you don't see a tormented spirit on them. If you have spiritual eyes, you may not see it if you don't. They could have flowers in their hair. They can have crystals on their neck. But when I tell you, I look at them and I be like, and you want me to believe you can give me services? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. This was not that serious, but I gotta go. But hear me, guys. I'm gonna close with this. Be careful who you put your mouth on in this season. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Because I'm telling you, there's some people that God don't play about. And you might go and put your mouth on one of them and you're gonna be in trouble. So be careful. Repent if you've already done it. It's okay. God is merciful. He'll give you time, but be careful. So that's all to say, guys. Have a good one. Bye for now.